The bullet meant for Staff Sergeant Ryan Hartley's skull missed by 3 inches. He never heard the shot, never saw the muzzle flash, never knew that 200 meters away on a ridge, he couldn't see his 24-year-old sister had just started a war to keep him alive. Al-Rashid, Syria, March 15th, 2024. Inter 12 hours. 12 American commandos trapped in a kill zone. 58 insurgents closing in. 1 Russian sniper hunting from the shadows. And 1 woman who broke every rule to save them all. Before you continue, subscribe to my channel and follow this story to the end. Comment your city below. Let me see how far this story travels. The darkness before dawn tasted like diesel and death. Sergeant First Class Maya Hartley moved through Camp Ironside's motor pool at 03:30 hours. Her boots silent on gravel that hadn't seen rain in 4 months. She walked like a woman already gone, like a ghost wearing flesh for one last mission. Her rucksack weighed 72 pounds. She'd weighed it 3 times. Obsessive, yes, but obsession kept soldiers breathing. M110 semi-automatic sniper system, 180 rounds of .308 Winchester match-grade ammunition, loopholed Mark V scope with parallax adjustment, Kestrel weather meter, rangefinder accurate to 2,000 meters, individual first aid kit with quick-clot combat gauze, 2 tourniquets, because bleeding out alone on a ridge was a terrible way to honor a dead father's memory. She checked her watch. Ryan's patrol brief started in 4 hours. He didn't know she was here. He couldn't know. Colonel James Brennan had made that crystal clear 6 weeks ago when she'd requested deployment to Syrian Operational Command. Negative, Sergeant. You don't deploy within 200 clicks of your brother's AO. Maya had stood at attention in his office, jaw tight. Sir, with respect, that's not protocol, Hartley. That's suicide for both of you. She'd said nothing. What could she say? That she'd spent 12 years watching Ryan walk into danger while she stayed safe. That their father bled out in Somali sand, specifically so his children could live. That she'd be damned if she let Ryan die without someone watching his back. You don't say those things to a colonel. You salute, you comply, or you lie. Maya chose the third option. She passed the TOC Tactical Operations Center where night shift analysts stared at screens showing empty roads and thermal signatures of goats. None of them saw her. She'd learned the blind spots in this camp the way other women learned the layout of shopping malls. Every camera angle, every guard rotation, every moment when a sergeant could disappear into darkness carrying enough firepower to change the course of a small war. The perimeter gate stood 200 meters ahead. Beyond it, 10 kilometers of mountain terrain leading to Sahar Ridge. Beyond that, the city of Al-Rashid, where right now 58 insurgents were preparing an ambush that would turn her brother's patrol into a bloodbath, unless she stopped it. Her hand moved to the dog tags around her neck, not hers, his. Chief Petty Officer William Marcus Hartley, O negative, U.S. Navy, Methodist, killed in action October 3, 1993. During Operation Gothic Serpent, the Battle of Mogadishu, when an RPG turned his helicopter into a fireball over hostile streets. Black Hawk Down, journalist called it later, made it sound cinematic, poetic. It wasn't. Maya's mother had shown her the casualty report when she turned 18. Severe thermal trauma. Massive hemorrhagic shock. He burned and bled until there wasn't enough left to send home in a closed casket. Maya was 12 years old when they buried whatever pieces the Navy could find. Ryan was 18, old enough to understand what a folded flag meant, young enough to believe the words the honor guard spoke about duty and sacrifice meant something more than bureaucratic comfort for the living. You two are each other's guardian angels now. Their father had told them that the night before he deployed to Somalia. September 25th, 1993. The living room smelled like coffee and gun oil. His sea bag sat by the door like a promise waiting to break. You watch Ryan's back, Maya, and Ryan, you watch hers, always, because the world doesn't care how brave you are. It only cares if you come home. She was too young then to understand the weight of that promise. She understood now. The gate guard was a specialist named Morrison. who played poker in the NCO club and lost badly. He was reading something on his phone, probably messages from a girlfriend back in Georgia or Texas or wherever people went when they stopped believing war was necessary. He didn't look up when Maya slipped past his checkpoint using the blind spot created by a parked MRAP. Didn't see her cross the outer perimeter. Didn't watch her disappear into the absolute black of a moonless Syrian night. Gone. By 04:15, she was 3 kilometers into her hike, moving upslope through terrain that wanted to break ankles and strip flesh. The ridge climbed 800 meters over the next 7 kilometers, steep enough to make lungs burn, gradual enough that a woman in peak physical condition could make the summit before sunrise. Maya was in peak condition, had been since she was 15 years old, and decided that if her brother was joining the military, she was going to be good enough to protect him, even if everyone said women couldn't do what she was doing. Bud's training, 2019. 247 candidates started. 23 graduated. Maya was one of 4 women who made it through Hell Week, the only one who completed the entire pipeline. The instructors didn't go easy on her. They went harder, tried to break her in ways they never tried with men. She didn't break. One of them, a Master Chief named Kowalski, pulled her aside after the graduation ceremony. "You fight like someone who's got something to prove, Hartley." "I fight like someone who's got something to protect, Master Chief." He'd studied her face for a long moment, then nodded. "Fair enough. Just make sure you know the difference." She knew the difference, had known it since she was 12 years old, standing at her father's grave, promising a headstone that she'd keep Ryan alive, no matter what it cost. She reached the base of Sahar Ridge by 4445. Her calves burned. Her shoulders ached from the ruck. Her mouth tasted like copper and dehydration. She drank exactly 4 ounces of water. No more. The human bladder was a vulnerability when you were locked in a sniper hide for 12 hours. She checked her watch again. Ryan's patrol departed at 0700, 40-minute drive to Al-Rashid. Dismount and advance on foot. Contact expected around 0830, maybe 900 if they were cautious. She had 3 hours to climb, dig in, and acquire targets. The ridge rose before her like a wall of broken stone and prehistoric contempt. She started climbing. The sun rose at 0558, painting the mountains the color of dried blood. Maya lay prone behind a natural formation of limestone and shale, 100 meters from the center of Al-Rashid. The city sprawled below her like a dying organism, all concrete and rebar, and shattered windows that looked like eye sockets in a skull. Pre-war, it housed 15,000 people. Now maybe 2,000 remained, the ones too poor or too stubborn to flee when ISIS came back and turned the place into a fortress. She'd been in position for 90 minutes, long enough for her body to memorize every rock pressing into her ribs, long enough to confirm her hide, a shallow depression behind the rocks reinforced with hasty camouflage, was invisible from below. Long enough to watch the city wake up and realize something was wrong. Movement. Too much of it. Too organized. She adjusted the scope dialing in elevation and windage with the mechanical precision of 10,000 hours of practice. The loophole brought the world into sharp focus. Magnification 12 power. Clarity good enough to count the prayer beads on a man's wrist at 800 meters. What she saw made her jaw tighten. Men with weapons. Not farmers with ancient bolt-action rifles. Not local militia carrying mismatched AKs. These were fighters with matching load-bearing equipment. Tactical vests. Coordinated positions. She counted them. 20, 30, 40. 53 visible from her angle. And there were always more hiding in buildings. 6 PKM machine gun positions. Soviet-era belt-fed weapons that could chew through a brick wall and the men hiding behind it. Set up on rooftops with overlapping fields of fire. Professional placement. Someone trained them. 4 RPG teams. Rocket-propelled grenades, the kind of weapon that turned armored vehicles into coffins and infantry into ghosts. positioned at key choke points around a central compound. Again professional. Again deliberate. Radio antennas. At least 3, maybe 4. Someone was coordinating this. Someone with training. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't an insurgent cell. This was an ambush. Planned. Rehearsed. Waiting for exactly the kind of patrol that was going to roll into al-Rashid in 3 hours. Carrying 12 commandos who thought they were executing a capture-kill mission on a mid-level ISIS commander. Maya keyed her radio, pressed the transmit button. Overwatch 7 to base, priority traffic, multiple armed hostiles, heavy weapons, prepared positions around compound Echo. Recommend abort. Repeat, recommend abort. Static. She tried again. Overwatch 7 to any station. Contact at al-Rashid. Abort mission. Abort mission. Nothing. Just the hiss of dead air. Jammed. The radios were jammed. Someone down there had electronic warfare capability. Probably Chinese-made equipment sold to ISIS by Iranian intermediaries who learned the trade from Russian advisors. The hardware didn't matter. The effect did. She couldn't warn them, couldn't call for air support, couldn't request quick reaction force backup. She was alone on this ridge with 1 rifle, 180 rounds, and the absolute certainty that her brother was going to die unless she did something that would end her career, and possibly her life. Protocol said abort. Protocol said climb down, hike back. File a report, let higher headquarters make decisions. Protocol said a sergeant doesn't engage 50+ enemy combatants without authorization, backup, or a reasonable chance of survival. Maya chambered around. Protocol could burn. She made the calculations automatically. Wind 6 miles per hour left to right. Temperature 72 degrees Fahrenheit and rising. Humidity 14%. Altitude 800 feet above sea level, which meant reduced air density and flatter trajectory. Her 0 was dialed for sea level at 500 meters. She adjusted, compensating for elevation, for distance, for the fact that she was about to start killing people who didn't know she existed. The first target was a PKM gunner on the roof of a 3-story building. Range 547 meters. He was smoking a cigarette. Relaxed. Confident. He didn't know that in 15 seconds, he'd be dead. Maya controlled her breathing. 4 counts in. Hold. 4 counts out. Her heart rate dropped from 68 beats per minute to 54. Sniper trick. When your heart beats, your body moves. When your body moves, your crosshairs shift. Slow the heart. Still the body. Make the shot impossible to miss. She placed the crosshairs on center mass. Exhaled halfway. Squeezed the trigger with the steady pressure of someone who'd done this 247 times in training and 31 times in combat, and had never, not once, missed when it mattered. The M110 coughed. Suppressed. Not silent, but quiet enough that at 547 meters it sounded like someone dropping a toolbox. The recoil drove into her shoulder like a familiar handshake. Through the scope, she saw the gunner fold backward, cigarette spinning away like a tiny meteor. His weapon clattered onto the roof. His friends wouldn't find him for another 30 seconds. By then she'd have moved to the next target. But something was wrong. She shifted her scope, left tracking rooftops, and saw him. The anomaly. The reason this ambush was too professional. A man. Caucasian, maybe 40 years old. Slavic features, high cheekbones, narrow jaw, pale eyes, even at this distance. He wasn't dressed like the others. No turban, no local clothing. He wore a tactical shirt and cargo pants, Western gear, and in his hands set up on a bipod with the casual competence of someone who'd spent a lifetime behind a rifle, was an SVD Dragunov, Russian sniper rifle, 7.62 by 54mm cartridge. Effective range 800 meters in competent hands, 1,200 meters in expert hands. The man was an expert. Maya knew this the way a chess master knows an opponent after 3 moves. It was in the way he held the rifle, the way he scanned sectors with methodical precision, the way he positioned himself not to kill commandos, but to kill anyone providing overwatch for commandos. He was hunting counter-snipers, hunting her kind. She zoomed in tighter, trying to get details. Then she saw the scope. Custom, probably a PSO-1 or something better. And engraved on the side, barely visible even at 12 power magnification, was a marking, a symbol, a wolf's head. Her blood turned cold. Colonel Brennan's voice echoed in her memory. 3 months ago, intelligence brief. Listen up. We've got confirmation of a Russian national operating with ISIS elements in Syrian command. Former Spetsnaz, GRU Special Operations. Goes by the call sign, The Ghost. Real name possibly Mikhail Volkov, but intel's fuzzy. Someone had asked, what's confirmed? Brennan's answer had been ice. 14 confirmed kills on coalition snipers in the last 18 months. British SAS, Canadian JTF-2, 4 Americans, 2 French GIGN. He doesn't hunt grunts, he hunts us, and he's never lost. Another voice. How do we know he's never lost if our snipers keep dying? Brennan. Because when he loses, we'll find his body. Until then, assume he's undefeated. Now Maya understood. This ambush wasn't for Ryan's patrol. It was bait. The patrol was bait to draw in coalition forces. The coalition forces were bait to draw in air support and quick reaction force. And hidden in all that chaos, one Russian sniper would hunt his preferred prey. American marksmen stupid enough to think they were safe at 1,000 meters. She adjusted her position slightly, moving 3 inches to the right, changing her angle just enough that her previous hide was now a trap. If Volkov spotted her muzzle flash, he probably did. Men like him always did. He'd shoot where she'd been, not where she was. She had maybe 30 seconds before he found her again. Her radio hissed, still jammed. But now she heard something underneath the static. Voices. Intercepted transmission. Enemy frequencies bleeding through. Patrol inbound. 8 vehicles. Humvees and MRAPs. Let them enter the kill zone, then initiate with RPG-7. Russian says wait for his signal. Russian. The Ghost. Volkov. They were talking about Ryan's patrol. Maya checked her watch. 07:38 hours. The patrol had left camp at 0700. 40-minute drive. They were 32 minutes out. Maybe less if Ryan was driving lead vehicle and pushing the pace like he always did. Impatient and brave and too damn confident that his training would save him. Training only helped if you saw the threat coming. He wouldn't see this coming. She made a decision that would define the rest of her life. If she had a life after this, she didn't abort, didn't climb down, didn't file a report or request permission or follow any regulation ever written about how sergeants engage enemy forces. She adjusted her rifle, checked her magazines, 180 rounds, 58 visible enemies. Math that didn't work, unless you were very good or very lucky, or willing to trade your career and possibly your life for the chance to keep a promise made to a dead father 12 years ago. Sound. The wind picked up. 6 miles per hour became 8. She adjusted her windage. 2 clicks right. The sun climbed higher, baking the ridge, making her mouth dry. She didn't drink. No more water until this was over. In the city below, Volkov shifted position. He was scanning now, hunting, looking for her. She knew the feeling, like having a spider crawl across the back of your neck. The awareness that somewhere someone had you in their crosshairs and was waiting for you to make a mistake. Maya didn't make mistakes. At 8:12 hours, dust rose on the road from the south. Convoy, 8 vehicles, not 12. Standard configuration, 4 Humvees, 4 MRAPs. Ryan was in the lead vehicle. She recognized the way it moved. Aggressive, confident, exactly like him. The convoy approached the city limits. Slowed. Standard procedure check for IEDs, scan for threats, dismount if necessary. Ryan's training was perfect. Textbook. Exactly what it should be. Exactly what got you killed in an ambush this well planned. Yeah. Maya placed her crosshairs on the second PKM position. Different gunner. Range 612 meters. Slightly uphill. She compensated. Below, the convoy entered the outer streets of Al-Rashid. She watched through her scope as Ryan's vehicle stopped. The door opened. Her brother stepped out, 30 years old, 6'2", carrying himself like a man who'd never lost a fight. He had 90 seconds to live. Unless she started killing. The first RPG team moved into position. 2 men, one with the launcher, one loading the rocket. They were sighting on Ryan's vehicle. Maya shifted her aim. Range 583 meters. Wind steady now. She breathed, settled, fired. The loader dropped. The rocket clattered to the ground, unexploded. The launcher operator stared in confusion, then reached for the weapon. She fired again. He dropped beside his partner. 2 confirmed. For a single heartbeat, the city was silent. Then chaos erupted. Gunfire from multiple positions. PKM machine guns opening up. AK-47s rattling. The convoy scattered vehicles, reversing soldiers dismounting, returning fire at threats they could barely see. And through it all, Maya worked. Third target. PKM gunner. Range 547 meters. The same rooftop as her first kill. His replacement had grabbed the weapon. She fired. Center mass. He folded backward. 3 confirmed. Fourth target. RPG team at the eastern choke point. They were aiming at the trail vehicle, an MRAP carrying 4 soldiers. She fired twice. Both men dropped. 5 confirmed. The insurgents didn't know where death was coming from. Couldn't know. Her position was 100 meters out beyond the range most of them believed snipers could operate. They thought they were being hit by coalition air support, by drones, by some invisible technology they couldn't fight. They were being hit by a 24-year-old woman with a rifle and a promise. Tag. Sixth target. Machine gunner on a balcony. He'd pinned down a 4-man fire team in an alleyway. Range 624 meters. Crosswind had picked up 10 miles per hour now. She adjusted, fired. Miss. The bullet sparked off concrete 3 inches from his head. He dove for cover. Maya cursed under her breath. First miss of the day. Unacceptable. She waited. Patient. The gunner would have to move eventually. They always did. 3 seconds. 5. 8. He popped up, tried to reposition the PKM. She fired. He didn't get back up. 6 confirmed. Dodge. Below, Ryan's voice crackled on the radio. The jamming was weakening. Someone had destroyed the EW equipment, probably one of her earlier shots, hitting an antenna she hadn't specifically targeted. Reaper 6 to all elements. We're taking fire from multiple positions. Rally at grid reference. His transmission cut off. She found him in her scope. He was directing his team, moving them toward cover, doing everything right. A bullet sparked off the wall 2 feet from his head. Not insurgent fire. Too accurate. Too deliberate. Volkov. The ghost was shooting at her brother. Maya swung her rifle toward the last position she'd seen the Russian. Empty. He'd moved. Where she scanned rooftops, windows, balconies. Nothing. Come on. Come on. Where are you? Then she saw the muzzle flash. Northwest corner. 3rd floor. Window with broken shutters. Range 580 meters. He fired again. The bullet hit the vehicle Ryan was using as cover, 6 inches from his shoulder. Volkov was playing with him, hurting him, driving him toward a position where the shot would be easier. Maya didn't give him the chance. She aimed at the window. Couldn't see Volkov clearly. He was too far back in the shadows, but she could see the barrel of his Dragunov. She fired. The bullet punched through the window frame. Wood splinters exploded inward. For a moment, nothing. Then Volkov's rifle barrel withdrew. He was repositioning. She'd bought Ryan 30 seconds, maybe less. But the Russian would be more careful now. He knew someone was counter-sniping. Knew someone on that ridge was good enough to threaten him. The hunt had begun. 7 confirmed kills. 8. 9. Maya worked through targets with mechanical precision. RPG teams, machine gunners, radio operators, anyone who posed an immediate threat to the convoy. The insurgent ambush was falling apart. Their coordinated attack had become chaos. Half their heavy weapons were silenced. Their communications were fragmenting. But Volkov was still out there, and Ryan was still in the kill zone. "We're pinned." The voice crackled over Maya's radio. Not Ryan. Someone else. Younger. Panicked. "Reaper 3 to 6. We've got 2 wounded, can't move without getting hit. Where the hell is our support?" She found them. 4 soldiers trapped in a collapsed storefront. 2 of them were down, wounded, maybe dead. The other 2 were returning fire at a position she couldn't see from her angle. She shifted, trying to find the threat. There. Rooftop. 3 insurgents with AKs. They'd flanked the trapped team. Were pouring fire into the storefront, keeping the soldiers pinned. Range 671 meters. Steep downward angle. She adjusted. First target. Fired. Drop. Second target. He turned confused. Fired. Drop. Third target. Running now. She led him. Fired. He tumbled off the roof. 3 stories down. 12 confirmed. "Reaper 3, you're clear, move now." She shouldn't have transmitted, shouldn't have revealed she was out there. But the soldiers were frozen, didn't know the threats were eliminated. There was a pause, then, "Who the hell is this? Overwatch 7, move, now." They moved. Nah, but her transmission had cost her. A bullet cracked past her head. Close. Too close. She felt the pressure wave, heard the supersonic snap of a round passing inches from her skull. Volkov. He'd triangulated her position from the radio signal. She rolled, came up behind new cover. Her heart was hammering now, not fear, not exactly, but the pure crystalline awareness that she was dueling a man who'd killed 14 snipers, and none of them had survived. She scanned for him. Nothing. He'd fired and moved just like she would have. "Where are you?" The city below was a chaos of gunfire and smoke. Ryan's convoy was fighting toward an extraction point on the east side. They were moving, surviving. But Volkov was out there, waiting, hunting. He'd let her thin the insurgent ambush, let her exhaust herself killing his pawns. Now he'd take his shot at the real target, her. Minutes passed. 5, 7, 10. No more shots from the ghost. Maya kept working. 15 confirmed. 18. 21. Each kill bought Ryan's team another few meters of movement, another few seconds of survival. Her magazine ran dry. She swapped it. Smooth. Fast. New mag in 3 seconds. 61 rounds expended. 119 remaining. Math getting worse. Then she saw it. Movement. Southwest rooftop. A figure with a Dragunov. Rising from behind an air conditioning unit. Taking aim. Not at her, at the extraction point. At the soldiers loading into vehicles. At Ryan. Volkov was aiming at Ryan. Maya didn't think. Didn't calculate. Just reacted. She swung her rifle. Acquired the target. 612 meters. Wind gusting. Her hands were shaking from sustained adrenaline. She fired. The bullet hit Volkov's position. She saw him jerk. Didn't know if she'd hit him or just his equipment. His shot went wide, sparking off a vehicle 20 feet from Ryan. She fired again and again. 3 rounds in rapid succession. Suppressive fire, keeping his head down, buying time. Volkov disappeared behind the rooftop structure. For 30 seconds, nothing. Maya's breathing was ragged. Her shoulder ached from recoil. Sweat ran into her eyes, blurring her vision. Had she hit him? Was he wounded? Dead repositioning. She didn't know. Below, Ryan's convoy finished loading. Vehicles began to move, pulling out of Al-Rashid, escaping the kill zone. She watched through her scope as her brother's Humvee accelerated toward the city limits, watched until the convoy was small in her scope, until she was certain they were clear. Then she collapsed behind her rifle. Her hands were shaking, full-body tremors. Adrenaline crash hitting like a physical blow. She'd been in combat for 47 minutes. Her heart was hammering at 140 beats per minute. Her mouth tasted like copper and fear. She checked her ammunition. 93 rounds remaining. Fired 87 rounds. Confirmed kills 26. Saved 12 American lives that woke up this morning not knowing today was supposed to be their last. She did that. One woman, one rifle, one promise. But it wasn't over. Her radio crackled. Fragmentary transmission. QRF inbound. ETA 12 minutes. Reaper elements hold for link-up. Quick reaction force. 40 more soldiers. Coming to extract Ryan's team. Coming down the same road. Into the same city. Where an unknown number of insurgents still waited. Where Volkov, wounded or not, might still be hunting. She couldn't leave. Not yet. Maya forced herself to breathe. To focus. The tremors in her hands slowed. Her heartbeat dropped. She had 93 rounds. A QRF convoy was 12 minutes out, and somewhere in that city a Russian sniper was either bleeding out or preparing to kill again. She raised her rifle, scanned the rooftops, and waited. 93 rounds. 12 minutes until QRF arrival. And somewhere in Al-Rashid, a wounded wolf was deciding whether to run or fight. Maya knew which choice Volkov would make. Men like him didn't run. They adapted. They waited. They turned disadvantage into ambush. She scanned the rooftops through her scope, searching for movement. Nothing. The city had gone quiet after Ryan's convoy escaped. Too quiet. The kind of silence that preceded something worse. Her radio crackled again, clearer now. Overwatch 7, this is Reaper 6 actual. Identify yourself. Ryan's voice. Demanding, confused. He didn't know who'd been providing cover fire. Didn't know his sister was 2 kilometers away, lying in dirt and blood, waiting for the next fight. She didn't respond. Couldn't. Not yet. Overwatch 7, I say again. Identify. We had sniper support from your position. Who the hell are you? Silence stretched between them. She imagined his face. The frustration. The gratitude he didn't know how to express because he didn't know who to thank. Later, she thought, you'll know later, and you'll be furious, but you'll be alive to be furious. That was enough. Movement. Her finger tightened on the trigger before her conscious mind registered the target. Southeast corner. Ground level. 3 men emerging from a building carrying weapons and equipment. Not insurgents. These moved differently. Professional. Tactical spacing. One of them was limping. She zoomed in. The limping man was being supported by the other 2. His right shoulder was dark with blood. His face was pale, drawn with pain, Slavic features, high cheekbones, narrow jaw. Volkov. She'd hit him. During the suppressive fire, one of her rounds had found flesh. He was wounded, maybe badly. The 3 men moved toward a vehicle, an old Toyota Hilux that somehow survived the battle intact. They were extracting. Running. Maya placed her crosshairs on Volkov's chest. Range 634 meters. Wind had died down. Easy shot. He was moving slowly, wounded, an easy target. One trigger press and the threat was eliminated. One bullet and the man who'd killed 14 coalition snipers would never kill again. Her finger rested on the trigger. 2 pounds of pressure away from ending it. She didn't fire. Why? The question burned in her mind, even as she watched Volkov climb into the truck. She had the shot, had the justification, had every tactical reason to eliminate a confirmed threat. But something stopped her. Maybe exhaustion. Maybe the strange kinship between snipers who dueled and survived. Maybe the understanding that Volkov knew she was watching, knew she had him dead to rights. He stopped at the truck door, turned, looked directly at her ridge. He couldn't possibly see her. The distance was too great, her camouflage too good. But he knew, the way predators always knew when they were being watched. He raised his left hand. Not surrender, not a wave, just acknowledgement. Sniper to sniper, warrior to warrior. You won today. But this isn't over. Then he was in the truck. The vehicle accelerated, fishtailed, disappeared into the maze of streets. Maya lowered her rifle. She'd made a choice she couldn't explain. Let a legend escape to hunt again. Time would tell if that choice was mercy or mistake. QRF convoy 5 minutes out. All Reaper elements confirm positions for link-up. The radio traffic pulled her back to the present. 40 soldiers approaching Al-Rashid, coming to extract her brother's team, coming down a road that might still be hostile. She shifted her position, ignoring the pain in her shoulder where rock fragments had torn flesh during the duel with Volkov. Blood had soaked her sleeve, was starting to pool at her elbow. She needed medical attention. Later, after the QRF was safe, her scope swept the eastern approach. The road curved between buildings, creating natural choke points. Perfect ambush terrain. Movement. She froze. Adjusted magnification. New fighters. 8, maybe 9. Moving into positions on the east side of the city. Fresh. Not the original ambush team. These were reinforcements. And they weren't aiming at Ryan's extraction point. They were aiming at the road from the south. The road where the QRF convoy was approaching. No, Maya whispered. No, no, no. A secondary ambush, prepared specifically for the rescue force. Volkov's contingency plan. Even wounded, even retreating, he'd left a trap behind. 4 RPG teams, 2 PKM positions. Overlapping fields of fire. Classic near-ambush configuration. Hit the lead vehicle, hit the trail vehicle trap, the convoy in the kill zone, destroy it piecemeal. 40 soldiers, driving straight into death. Her radio was still unreliable. Jamming had weakened, but transmissions were fragmentary. She keyed the mic anyway. QRF actual Overwatch 7. Secondary ambush on your approach, east side. Multiple RPG teams. Abort your route. Repeat, abort your route. Static. Fragments of words. Nothing coherent. They couldn't hear her. She had a choice. The same impossible choice that had defined her entire day. She could maintain Overwatch on Ryan's extraction, keep her brother safe until he was completely clear, finish the mission she'd started, or she could shift fire to the secondary ambush, save 40 strangers she'd never met, leave Ryan exposed in the final minutes of his escape, 12 lives including her brother, or 40 lives including sons and fathers and brothers she'd never know. Her father's voice echoed from 12 years ago, that last night before he deployed to Somalia. His sea bag by the door, his face young and tired and certain. Sometimes being a guardian means protecting people who don't even know you exist, Maya. That's the hardest part. That's the part that costs everything. She shifted her rifle, left Ryan's convoy uncovered, made the choice that would haunt her for the rest of her life if it went wrong. Range to new targets. 651 meters, slightly downhill, wind variable swirling around buildings. She compensated by instinct, by 10,000 hours of practice, by the muscle memory that came from caring more about the outcome than the difficulty. First target. RPG operator crouched behind a wall, sighting through his launcher, his finger on the trigger, ready to fire the moment the convoy appeared. Maya exhaled, squeezed. He dropped. The RPG clattered down unexploded. His loader stared in confusion, then grabbed the weapon. She shot him too. 28 confirmed. Second position, machine gunner setting up a PKM on a rooftop. Belt already loaded, ready to pour fire into trapped vehicles. She fired once. Center mass. He fell backward, weapon unfired. 29 confirmed. Third position, 3 men with AKs. Probably designated marksmen taking Overwatch positions. She shot the first. The second ran. She let him fired, watched him tumble. The third dove for cover. Smart. Didn't help. She was already calculating where he'd emerge. When he did, the bullet was waiting. 32 confirmed. Damn. Her magazine ran dry. She swapped it out. Smooth. Fast. 3 seconds. 87 rounds expended today. 93 remaining. Math still terrible, but improving. The QRF convoy appeared on the southern road. 4 striker vehicles. Proper interval spacing. Professional security. They were doing everything right. It wouldn't matter if they drove into a prepared kill zone. Maya found another target. Insurgent with a radio coordinating the attack. Range 602 meters. She exhaled. Fired. Watched him drop. Radio shattered. Suddenly, half the ambush lost coordination. Behind her, a bullet cracked off rock. She rolled instinctively, came up in a new position, heart slamming against her ribs. Volkov number impossible. He'd extracted. She'd watched him leave. Then who? Oh, she scanned. Found him. A fighter on a rooftop 400 meters out holding an SVD. Not Volkov. Younger. Less skilled. But he'd spotted her position somehow. Gotten lucky with his first shot. He was adjusting aim for a second. Maya was faster. One shot. The young sniper fell backward, rifle clattering. 33 confirmed. But the near miss had cost her. Her hands were shaking again. The wound in her shoulder was bleeding faster now, adrenaline keeping pain at bay but not stopping blood loss. She was running out of time. Running out of body. QRF actual Overwatch 7. Ambush partially neutralized. Hostiles still active on east flank. Recommend alternate approach. Static. Then, miracle of miracles, a voice broke through. 7 QRF copies. We see the bodies. Who the hell is this? She almost laughed. Almost cried. The relief was overwhelming. Friendly asset. Adjust your route. Approach from northwest. I'll cover your movement. A pause. Then, copy 7. Adjusting. You've got Guardian Angel duty. Guardian Angel. If only they knew, Patch. The strikers changed direction, swinging wide, avoiding the kill zone by 300 meters. Close enough to see it. Far enough to survive it. Maya covered their movement. 2 more targets. 3. Insurgents who tried to reposition to catch the convoy from new angles. She didn't let them. 36 confirmed. 37. 38. Her barrel was overheating now. Accuracy degrading. She could feel it in the slight drift of her shots, the extra compensation needed for each trigger press. Didn't matter. She kept shooting. The QRF convoy linked up with Ryan's extraction team at 0903 hours. She watched through her scope as vehicles converged, soldiers dismounted, perimeter security established. Ryan was there. She found him in her scope, alive, unharmed, directing his team, checking on wounded, doing everything a good leader did after contact. He had no idea his sister was 2 kilometers away, bleeding into Syrian dirt, watching him breathe and thanking God for every heartbeat. All Reaper elements mount up. QRF has our extract. Move now. Ryan's voice on the radio, clear, strong, commanding. They were leaving. Finally, taking the wounded, taking the victory, taking their lives that were supposed to end in Al-Rashid's streets. Maya watched them go. Watched the strikers accelerate, kicking up dust, putting distance between themselves and death. Watched until they were small in her scope. Watched until she was certain they were clear. Then, she let herself breathe. Really breathe. For the first time in 2 hours. Her body started shutting down the moment the threat passed. Combat physiology. The human system could maintain peak performance for extraordinary periods when survival demanded it. But once the danger ended, the bill came due. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Her vision blurred. The wound in her shoulder, ignored for so long, suddenly screamed with white-hot agony. She fumbled for her IFAK. Individual first aid kit. Pulled out quick clot gauze with fingers that felt like they belonged to someone else. The shoulder wound was worse than she'd thought. Not just rock fragments. A bullet graze, probably from the young sniper's near miss, had torn a furrow across her deltoid, bleeding steadily. She packed the wound, applied pressure, bit down on a curse as the hemostatic agent burned like fire. 1 tourniquet left. She might need it for the hike back, if she could hike back. Her radio crackled. Different frequency. Command channel. Overwatch 7, this is Warlord Actual. Respond. Colonel Brennan's voice. Cold. Hard. The voice of a man who'd just learned one of his soldiers had gone rogue. She keyed the mic. Her voice came out rougher than she intended. Overwatch 7. Go ahead. Return to base immediately. Medical will be standing by. A pause. Then softer. And Sergeant, we need to talk about your career choices. She almost smiled. Almost. Copy warlord. Returning to base. Brennan out. Tub. She started breaking down her hide. Muscle memory taking over where conscious thought failed. Pack the brass. No point leaving evidence of exact positioning. Secure the weapon. Check ammunition count. 51 rounds remaining. 129 expended. 38 confirmed kills. Probably more. Some of those shots at running targets at men diving for cover. Hard to confirm everything through a scope. 52 American lives saved, 12 from Ryan's team, 40 from QRF. Cost 1 career. Probably prison time. Definitely the end of life as she knew it. Worth it. Every second. She shouldered her ruck. 72 pounds felt like 200 now. Her legs trembled. Her shoulder throbbed. Each heartbeat sent fresh blood seeping through the bandage. One step, then another, then another. The descent from Sahar Ridge was 10 kilometers of broken terrain, steep grades, and ankle-breaking scree. She'd made the climb in darkness, fresh and focused. Now she had to make it back, wounded, exhausted, and running on fumes. You've survived worse, she told herself. But she hadn't. Not really. Nothing in her training, nothing in her combat experience had prepared her for what she'd done today. Solo engagement against 58 hostiles. Sniper duel with a legend. 52 lives saved through pure force of will. That wasn't training. That was something else. Something her father would have understood. Halfway down the ridge, she passed the spot where she'd set up her primary hide. Empty brass glinted in the morning sun. 129 pieces of evidence that Sergeant First Class Maya Hartley had violated orders, engaged enemy forces without authorization, and fought a Russian Spetsnaz sniper to a draw. She left the brass. Let them find it. Let them reconstruct what happened. Let them try to explain how one sniper had changed the outcome of a battle that should have been a massacre. By 10:30 hours, she reached level ground. Her legs were trembling so badly she could barely stand. Her shoulder was on fire. Blood had dried on her face and arm in brown streaks. She probably looked like an extra from a horror movie. She didn't care. She just walked. Put one foot in front of the other, headed toward Camp Ironside and whatever judgment awaited. The sun beat down. The desert wind carried dust and the distant sound of helicopters. She didn't look back. Didn't need to. The ridge was behind her. The battle was behind her. Ahead was uncertainty, consequences. And the brother who didn't know his sister had just rewritten the rules of modern combat to keep him breathing. She saw the camp gates at 10:47 hours, 2 guards on duty, both staring at her like they were seeing a ghost. She probably looked like one. Sergeant Hartley, one of them a private she didn't recognize, stepped forward. "Ma'am, we have orders to—" "I know." Her voice was a rasp. "Medical first, then Colonel Brennan." "Ma'am," the colonel said immediately. "Medical, first." Something in her tone stopped him. Maybe the blood. Maybe the look in her eyes. Maybe the understanding that a woman who'd just walked out of hell didn't take orders from privates. He stepped aside. The camp medical station was a prefab building with too few beds and too many wounded. A Navy corpsman took one look at her and went pale. "Jesus Christ, Sergeant, what happened to you?" Fell down a hill. He didn't believe her. Didn't matter. He started working, cleaning wounds, applying fresh dressings, checking for fragments that needed extraction. "You're lucky," he said, probing the shoulder wound. "Another inch left, this would have hit the subclavian artery. You'd have bled out on that hill." "I know." "How do you know?" "Because I was counting the inches." He stared at her for a long moment, then shook his head and kept working. Colonel James Brennan arrived at 11:12 hours. He stood in the doorway of the medical station watching the corpsman finish bandaging her shoulder. His face was unreadable. Stone carved into human form. Maya met his eyes, didn't look away. "Sir." "Sergeant?" Silence stretched between them. The corpsman, sensing something far above his pay grade, mumbled an excuse and left. Brennan closed the door. 38 confirmed kills. His voice was quiet, controlled. 52 American lives saved. 1 Russian sniper wounded and extracted. 1 unauthorized deployment that violated direct orders and approximately 17 articles of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Yes, sir. You went AWOL. Engaged enemy forces without authorization. Compromised operational security. And conducted an unsanctioned sniper operation that could have started an international incident if that Russian had been killed. Yes, sir. You understand I should have you court-martialed. Stripped of rank, imprisoned. Yes, sir. He stared at her, hard, searching. Then something shifted in his face. Something that might have been pride, or grief, or both. Your father would have done the exact same thing. Maya's throat tightened. Sir. Marcus Hartley, Chief Petty Officer, killed in Mogadishu doing something stupid and brave that saved 3 of his teammates. Brennan's voice softened. I was there, you know, on that mission. He covered our extraction while we loaded wounded onto the birds. Could have gotten out. Chose not to. She hadn't known. Had never known Brennan served with her father. He talked about you, Brennan continued. About his kids. Said his daughter was going to be something special someday. Said she had fire in her. I didn't know you knew him, sir. I owed him my life. Still do. Brennan's jaw tightened, which makes what I'm about to do very complicated. Maya waited. This was it. Court-martial, prison, the end of everything she'd built. Your brother is en route to this camp, Brennan said. He'll be here within the hour. He's been demanding to know who provided Overwatch support for his extraction, threatening to shoot every analyst in the TOC until someone tells him. Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. That sounded like Ryan. He doesn't know. No one knows. The after-action reports are still being compiled. But when they're finished, they'll show that Overwatch 7 was a coalition asset assigned to monitor the Al-Rashid operation. Authorized. Sanctioned. Present at my explicit order. Maya's breath caught. Sir, you can't. I can do whatever I want. I'm the colonel. Brennan's eyes hardened. What I can't do is explain to your mother why I let Marcus Hartley's daughter rot in prison for saving 52 American lives. What I can't do is tell Ryan that his sister is a criminal for keeping him alive. The regulations. The regulations can burn, Sergeant. Your words, I believe, spoken in my office 6 weeks ago when I denied your deployment request. He almost smiled. Almost. I should have listened. Should have known you'd find a way regardless. Sir, I don't understand. Why are you protecting me? Brennan moved to the window, looked out at the camp, at soldiers going about their duties, unaware of what had happened on Sahar Ridge. Because your father asked me to, he said quietly. The night before Mogadishu, we were drinking in a bar in Mombasa, talking about what we'd do if we didn't make it back. He made me promise to look after his kids if anything happened. Said his daughter was going to need someone to keep her out of trouble. He turned back to face her. I've spent 30 years keeping that promise. I'm not stopping now. Maya didn't know what to say, didn't know how to process the revelation that her father's last wish had been protecting her. That Brennan, the stern, unyielding colonel who'd denied her every request, had been watching over her since she was 12 years old. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. His voice hardened again. You're being reassigned. Effective immediately. No more combat deployments. You'll report to Fort Benning as an instructor at the sniper school. You'll teach young soldiers how to do what you do. And you will never, do you understand me, Sergeant, never pull something like this again. Sir, that's not a request. That's the price of your freedom. You want to save lives. Fine. Save them in the classroom. Train the next generation of marksmen. But your combat days are over. The words hit like bullets. No more deployments. No more combat. No more watching Ryan's back from a ridge she wasn't supposed to be on. It was a punishment disguised as protection, and she understood why. Yes, sir. Brennan moved toward the door, stopped with his hand on the handle. There's one more thing you should know. His voice was different now, careful. Intelligence intercepted a communication 2 hours ago. Volkov made it across the border into Iran. He's receiving medical treatment at a facility outside Tehran. Maya's chest tightened. He's alive. Wounded, but alive. And he sent a message through channels we weren't supposed to intercept. Brennan's eyes met hers. He said, and I'm quoting, "The American woman who marked me will understand. This isn't over. We will finish what we started." The words hung in the air, a threat, a promise, a declaration of war. He's coming for me. Eventually. Yes. When he's healed. When he's rebuilt his network. When he's ready. Brennan opened the door. Which is another reason you're going stateside. Fort Benning is 3,000 miles from anywhere Volkov can reach you. You'll be safe there. Safe. The word tasted like ash in her mouth. With respect, sir, safety isn't why I joined. I know. Brennan's voice softened one final time. But your father didn't die so his daughter could follow him into an early grave. Learn to live Maya. Learn to teach. Learn to be something other than a weapon. He left, and Maya sat alone in the medical station, bandaged and bleeding, and facing a future she never wanted. Instructor duty. Stateside assignment. Safety. A gilded cage built from good intentions, but somewhere in Iran a wolf was licking his wounds. Planning. Waiting. And she knew with the same certainty she knew her own heartbeat that Volkov wouldn't let Sahar Ridge be the end of their story. He would come for her. And when he did, she would be ready, no matter what Brennan said, no matter what the regulations demanded, no matter what it cost. Because Hartleys kept their promises, even when keeping them meant facing monsters alone. The door opened again. Ryan stood in the entrance, covered in dust, eyes wild, looking at her like he'd seen a ghost. Maya. Her throat closed. All the words she'd prepared, the explanations, the justifications, the reasons she'd gone rogue, vanished. Hey, big brother. He crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed her by the shoulders. The wounded one screamed in protest and stared into her face. It was you. On the ridge, the sniper support, the radio calls. It was you. Ryan. Don't. His voice cracked. Don't you dare lie to me. Not after what you did. Not after... He stopped, swallowed, and she watched her fearless, unbreakable brother start to cry. You could have died, Maya. You could have died up there, and I never would have known. Never would have... But I didn't. She reached up, touched his face. I'm right here. We're both right here. Why? The word was barely a whisper. Why would you do that? Risk everything. Your career, your life. Because Dad made me promise. The word stopped him cold. What? The night before he deployed. He made us promise to watch each other's backs. Always. She smiled through her own tears. I'm just keeping my word. Ryan stared at her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then he pulled her into a hug so fierce it made her wounded shoulder scream. She didn't care. She held him back. And for the first time since she'd started climbing Sahar Ridge, Maya Hartley felt something other than determination. She felt peace. 3 months felt like 3 years. Maya stood at the edge of the rifle range at Fort Benning watching 26 students fire at targets 500 meters downrange. Their shots were scattered, inconsistent, the kind of shooting that got soldiers killed in real combat. Sergeant Hartley. She turned. Private First Class Diego Reyes, 20 years old, eager as a puppy and twice as clumsy, stood at attention with a question burning in his eyes. What is it, Reyes? Ma'am, I've been struggling with my windage adjustments. The crosswind keeps pushing my shots left and I can't figure out. Show me your position. He dropped prone behind his rifle. She watched him settle in, noted the tension in his shoulders, the way he gripped the stock too tightly. You're fighting the rifle, she said. Stop choking it. The weapon is an extension of your body, not an enemy you're wrestling. But Sergeant, the wind is the same for everyone. Your problem isn't the wind. Your problem is you're scared of missing. She knelt beside him. Fear makes you grip harder. Gripping harder creates tension. Tension creates movement. Movement creates misses. Relax. Trust your training. Let the shot happen. Reyes took a breath, loosened his grip, fired. The round struck center mass. Holy! He caught himself. Thank you, Sergeant. Don't thank me. Do it again. 20 more times. Until your body forgets how to be afraid. She walked away before he could respond. Teaching was supposed to be her penance, her punishment disguised as protection. 3 months of classroom lectures and range supervision and young soldiers who looked at her like she held the secrets of the universe. They didn't know what she'd done in Syria. The classified reports had been buried so deep that even the rumor mill couldn't find them. To her students, she was just another instructor. Competent, demanding, cold. They had no idea she spent every night staring at the ceiling, replaying Sahar Ridge in her mind. Counting the shots. Remembering the faces of men she'd killed. Wondering if Volkov was doing the same thing in whatever hole he was hiding in. They had no idea that every time she closed her eyes, she saw a wolf's head engraved on a rifle scope, coming for her. Always coming. Her phone buzzed at 18:47 hours, Ryan's name on the screen. Hey. You sound tired. His voice was warm, concerned. The voice of a brother who'd spent 3 months trying to pretend everything was normal. Long day on the range, 26 students and maybe 4 of them can hit a target without divine intervention. That bad. Worse. One of them flagged me with his muzzle yesterday, pointed a loaded rifle directly at my chest while asking about trigger discipline. Ryan laughed. It was a good sound, real, the kind of laugh she hadn't heard from him since before Al-Rashid. Remember when Dad caught me doing that with his shotgun? I was maybe 10. He made you clean every weapon in his armory. Took you 3 days. Learned my lesson, though. A pause. You doing okay, Lexi, really? The nickname hit her somewhere soft. He hadn't called her that since they were kids. Since before their father died, and they both grew up too fast. I'm fine. Liar. I'm surviving. Better? Marginally. Listen, I'm coming stateside next week. Got some leave time. Thought maybe we could... Ryan. Just dinner. Maybe visit Mom. She's been asking about you. I call her every Sunday. Calling isn't the same as visiting. She worries. She's always worried. Since Dad died, worrying is her full-time job. Silence stretched between them. She could hear him breathing, thinking, choosing his next words carefully. She knows Maya. Her stomach dropped. Knows what? About Syria. About what you did. I didn't tell her, but she figured it out. She always figures it out. How? She's Mom. She reads between the lines. And when I came home without a scratch after a mission that should have killed me, she knew someone was watching. Someone who shouldn't have been there. His voice softened. She's not angry. She's proud. But she needs to see you. Needs to know you're okay. Maya's throat tightened. She hadn't seen her mother since before the deployment. Hadn't been able to face her. Hadn't been able to explain why her daughter had risked everything. Career freedom life for a promise made to a dead man. I'll think about it. That means no. It means I'll think about it. Maya. I have to go. Range cleanup. I'll call you later. She hung up before he could argue. The package arrived 3 days later. Maya was in her office grading marksmanship evaluations when a corporal knocked on her door. Sergeant Hartley? This came for you. International mail. No return address. She took the small box, felt its weight in her hands. Something cold settled in her stomach. Who delivered it? Regular mail, ma'am. Came through base processing. Thank you. Dismissed. The corporal left. Maya stared at the package for a long moment. Her hands weren't shaking. Not yet. She opened it. Inside, wrapped in black velvet, was a single bullet. 7.62 54 mm. Russian manufacture. The same caliber Volkov used in his Dragunov. And beneath the bullet, a photograph. Her. On Sahar Ridge. Lying prone behind her rifle. The image was taken from at least a kilometer away, but the quality was sharp enough to show her face, her position, the exact angle of her hide. He'd photographed her during the battle, while they were dueling, while she thought she was invisible. She turned the photograph over, handwritten words in English. "You let me live. I never forget. When the time comes, I will return the favor. Until then, guardian angel, dream of wolves." That. Colonel Brennan was in Washington when she called. Some Pentagon briefing, budget meetings, the endless bureaucracy that kept generals busy while soldiers did the actual fighting. She left a message. Urgent. Call back immediately. He called at 2200 hours. "Maya, what's wrong?" "He found me." Her voice was steady, calm, the voice of someone who'd had 6 hours to process the fear and convert it into something colder. "Volkov, he sent me a package, a bullet and a photograph." Silence. Then, "Tell me everything." She did. The bullet, the image from Sahar Ridge, the handwritten message. "Where is the package now?" "In my office. I haven't touched it since I read the note. Figured forensics might want it." "Good thinking." Brennan's voice was hard, controlled, but she could hear the undercurrent of something else. Worry. "I'm sending a team to collect it. Until then, don't go anywhere alone. Don't deviate from your routine. And for God's sake, don't try to handle this yourself." "Sir, I'm not going to—" "You went AWOL to Syria because you thought your brother was in danger. What makes you think you won't do the same thing when the threat is personal?" She didn't have an answer. "Maya, listen to me." His tone softened. "Volkov isn't a man you hunt. He's a phenomenon. He's survived 30 years in the most dangerous profession on Earth. He's killed more snipers than anyone alive. If he's targeting you, it's not random. It's not impulse. It's strategy." "What kind of strategy?" "I don't know yet, but I promise you we'll find out. Just stay safe, stay visible, and trust me to handle this." "Trust you how?" "I'm coming to Benning, tomorrow. We need to talk in person. There are things I can't say over the phone." "What things?" "Tomorrow, Maya. Just stay alive until then." He hung up, and Maya sat alone in her office staring at the bullet Volkov had sent her, wondering what kind of game she'd become a piece in. Brennan arrived at 0900 the next morning. He looked older, tired, the kind of tired that came from fighting wars on multiple fronts. He closed her office door, pulled the blinds, sat down across from her desk. "What I'm about to tell you is classified. Beyond classified. If anyone asks, this conversation never happened." "Understood." 3 weeks ago, intelligence intercepted a series of communications from inside Iran. Volkov's been busy. He's not just recovering from his wounds. He's recruiting. Maya's jaw tightened. Recruiting for what? He's building a network, training snipers, not insurgents with rifles, real operators, men with military backgrounds, professional training, ideological commitment. He's calling them the Wolf Pack. "How many?" "We've confirmed 12. There are probably more." 12 trained snipers, each one potentially as dangerous as Volkov himself. Maya's mind raced through the implications. "And their targets." Brennan's face darkened. "Us. Coalition snipers. He's turning his personal vendetta into a movement. In the last 8 weeks, 4 more of our people have been killed. 2 British SAS, 1 Canadian JTF-2, 1 American. Who? Staff Sergeant Marcus Webb, killed in Helmand Province 3 weeks ago, single shot 900 meters. The shooter was never found. Webb. She'd trained with him. Graduated buds same year. Good man, better sniper. How do we stop it? That's why I'm here." Brennan leaned forward. "There's a mission. Joint Task Force. American, British, Canadian operators. Objective is to locate and neutralize Volkov's compound in northern Syria." Syria. He moved after the Iran recovery, set up shop in a village called Tal Abyad, right on the Turkish border. Close enough to resupply, remote enough to train without interference. Maya's heart rate increased. Syria, where it started. where it might end. You want me to go? No. Brennan's voice was hard. I want you to stay here, safe, teaching, far from anywhere Volkov can reach you. Then why are you telling me this? Because your brother already volunteered. The words hit like a physical blow. Ryan volunteered for a mission to hunt Volkov. He didn't know about the photograph, didn't know Volkov was specifically targeting you. He just heard there was an operation to take down the man who almost killed his team in Al-Rashid, and he signed up before I could stop him. You have to pull him. I can't. The operation's already been approved. He ships out in 2 weeks. Then send me instead. Absolutely not. Sir. Maya, stop. Brennan's voice cracked like a whip. You're the last person I would send on this mission. You're emotionally compromised. You're personally targeted. And you're too valuable to risk. Too valuable. I'm an instructor. I teach kids how to shoot straight. You're the only sniper who's ever wounded Volkov in direct engagement. You're the proof that he's not invincible. If you die on this mission, he wins. Not just tactically, psychologically. He proves that no one can stand against him. And if Ryan dies, the question hung in the air. Heavy. Impossible. Brennan looked away. I'm trying to prevent that. How? By sending the best operators we have, by providing full intelligence support, by doing everything in my power to make sure this mission succeeds. But not by sending me. Not by giving Ryan the one advantage that might actually keep him alive. Maya, I've beaten Volkov before. I know how he thinks. I know how he moves. I know his patterns, his preferences, his weaknesses. Ryan doesn't have any of that. And Volkov knows you. He's been studying you for 3 months, planning, preparing. If you go to Syria, you're walking into a trap designed specifically for you. Then let me spring the trap on my terms. Brennan stared at her. For a long moment, neither spoke. You're asking me to send Marcus Hartley's daughter into combat against a man who spent 3 months planning her death. I'm asking you to let me do my job. Your job is teaching. My job is protecting my family. It's always been that. You knew it when you assigned me here. You knew I wouldn't accept a cage forever. His jaw tightened. If I approve this and you die, then you write a letter to my mother. The same letter you would have written if I'd died on Sahar Ridge. She leaned forward. But I won't die, because I'm not going there to be a hero. I'm going there to be a hunter, and hunters don't lose to wolves. The silence stretched. Brennan's eyes searched her face, looking for doubt, for hesitation, for any sign that she wasn't certain. He found none. 2 weeks, he said finally. You ship out with Ryan's team, but you follow orders. You work within the chain of command, and if I tell you to abort, you abort. No arguments, no rogue operations, no Sahar Ridge repeat. Understood. I mean it, Maya. This isn't a solo mission. You're part of a team, 12 operators. You watch their backs, they watch yours. The moment you go cowboy, I pull you out. I understand. Do you? Because I've known you for 24 years, and in all that time, I've never seen you follow an order you disagreed with. She almost smiled. I followed your order to come stateside. You followed it because you were too wounded to argue. The moment you healed, you started planning your next move. He stood. I'm not blind, Maya. I know you've been running combat simulations. I know you've been studying Tal Abyad terrain maps. I know you've been preparing for this mission since before I even knew it existed. Sir, don't. He raised a hand. I'm not angry. I'm impressed and terrified, which is how I've felt about every Hartley I've ever commanded. He moved toward the door, stopped. Your father was the same way. Always 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Always planning for contingencies no one else could see. His voice dropped. It made him the best operator I ever served with. It also got him killed. I know. Do you? Because you're walking the same path, making the same choices. And I can't. His voice broke. Just slightly. Just enough to show the human beneath the uniform. I can't lose both of them, Maya. I can't write that letter to your mother. You won't. Promise me. Sir, I can't promise. Promise me you'll try to come home. Promise me you won't sacrifice yourself for some abstract notion of duty or honor or guardian angels. Promise me you'll fight to survive, not just to win. She met his eyes, saw the fear there, the love, the weight of 30 years of friendship with a dead man whose children he'd sworn to protect. I promise. He nodded. Once. Sharp. Then he was gone. And Maya was alone with a bullet, a photograph, and 2 weeks to prepare for a war that had been waiting since the moment she let a wolf escape. She called Ryan that night. I heard. His voice was careful, guarded. Brennan told me he approved your deployment. Are you angry? A long pause. I'm scared. Which is worse? Ryan, you don't get to protect me this time, Maya. This mission we're equals, partners. You watch my back, I watch yours. That's the deal. That's always been the deal. No. In Al-Rashid, you were alone. You made the choice to risk everything without telling me, without giving me a chance to help. This time is different. This time we're in it together. She closed her eyes, remembered the weight of solitude on Sahar Ridge, the terrible freedom of acting alone. I don't know how to do that. Learn. Fast. Because in 2 weeks we're going into a compound full of trained killers and I need to know you're not going to disappear on some solo crusade. I won't. Swear it. Ryan, I swear it, Maya, on Dad's grave, on everything we ever meant to each other. Swear you'll stay with the team. Swear you'll fight beside me, not in front of me. The words stuck in her throat. Everything in her training, everything in her instincts screamed against making a promise that might limit her options. But this was Ryan, her brother, the reason she'd become a sniper in the first place. I swear. On Dad's grave. On Dad's grave. She heard him exhale. Relief. Trust. The kind of trust she wasn't sure she deserved. Then let's go kill a wolf together. The next 2 weeks were the most intense of Maya's life. She trained with the Joint Task Force. 12 operators, 4 American Navy SEALs including Ryan, 4 British SAS, 4 Canadian JTF-2. Each one was a specialist. Each one had volunteered knowing the risks. They practiced compound assaults, close quarters combat, coordinated sniper operations. Every scenario designed around one variable: Volkov, his patterns, his preferences, his known tactics. Maya shared everything she'd learned from their duel on Sahar Ridge. He's patient, she told them during one briefing. More patient than anyone I've ever encountered. He'll wait hours for a perfect shot. He doesn't waste ammunition. He doesn't take risks. Captain James Morrison, the British team leader, frowned. Then how do we draw him out? We don't. We make him think he's drawing us in. Explain. Maya pulled up a terrain map. Volkov's compound is here. Tal Abyad. Intelligence says he has 12 trained snipers plus himself. They're expecting an assault. They've prepared for it. So we give them what they expect. Exactly. Standard assault profile. Vehicles approaching from the south. Overwatch positions established on the northern ridge. She pointed. But the real assault comes from the east. Underground. Through the tunnel system that runs beneath the village. Ryan leaned forward. Tunnel system. Ottoman era. Used for smuggling. Most of it's collapsed, but there's a section that runs directly under Volkov's compound. We breach from below while he's focused on the distraction above. Morrison studied the map. And you know this how? I've been studying Tal Abyad for 3 months. Every satellite image, every drone pass, every intelligence report we've collected. She met his eyes. Volkov is good. He's not omniscient. He doesn't know about the tunnels because they're not on any military map. I found them in Ottoman historical archives. The room went silent. 12 operators staring at a 24-year-old woman who'd spent 90 days preparing for a mission no one told her she'd be joining. Morrison nodded slowly. All right, Sergeant Hartley. Walk us through your plan. She did. And for the first time since Sahar Ridge, Maya felt something other than fear. She felt ready. The night before deployment, she visited Arlington. Her father's grave was quiet. The grass was well maintained. Someone, Mom, probably had left fresh flowers. She knelt, placed her hand on the cold marble. "Hey, Dad." The wind rustled through the trees. Spring in Virginia. Everything green and alive. "I'm going to Syria tomorrow, hunting the man who tried to kill Ryan. You probably already know that. You always seem to know everything." She traced the letters of his name with her fingertips. "Colonel Brennan told me about you, about Mogadishu, about the promise you made him keep." Her throat tightened. "I wish you'd told me yourself. I wish I'd known someone was watching over us all those years." A crow called from somewhere distant. "I'm scared, Dad. Not of dying, not even of failing. I'm scared of being like you, making the same choices, ending up in the same place." She blinked back tears. "But I can't not go. I can't sit safe while Ryan walks into danger." "That's not who you raised me to be." She pulled something from her pocket, the bullet Volkov had sent her. She placed it on the grave marker beside the flowers. "This is from the man I'm going to kill. Wanted you to see it first. Wanted you to know that your daughter learned something on Sahar Ridge. That love is the most dangerous weapon. That guardians don't count the cost." She stood, rendered a salute. "See you on the other side, Dad. Hopefully not too soon." She turned, walked away, didn't look back. Behind her, Volkov's bullet glinted in the fading light. A promise waiting to be answered. The C-17 touched down at Incirlik Air Base at 0347 local time. Maya felt the jolt through her seat, the familiar sensation of returning to a war zone. Beside her, Ryan checked his gear for the 15th time. "You ready?" he asked without looking up. "Born ready." Liar. She almost smiled. Terrified ready. Better. Much. The ramp lowered. Hot Turkish air flooded the cargo bay, carrying the smell of jet fuel and distant smoke. They were 60 miles from the Syrian border, 12 hours from the most dangerous mission of their lives. Captain Morrison stood at the front of the group. "Listen up. Final brief in 2 hours. Get your gear squared away, get some food, get your heads right. Tomorrow night we're going hunting." The team dispersed. Maya grabbed her ruck, shouldered it, started walking. Ryan caught her arm. "Hey." "What?" "Promise me again." She met his eyes, saw the fear he was trying to hide. "I already promised." "I know. I just need to hear it one more time. I'll stay with the team. I'll fight beside you. I won't go rogue." She squeezed his hand. "We do this together, Ryan. All the way." He nodded, didn't look convinced. Neither was she. The final briefing happened in a secure room with no windows and too many maps. Morrison stood at the front, pointer in hand. "All right, here's what we know. Volkov's compound is located here in the center of Tal Abyad. Intelligence confirms 12 trained snipers on site plus support personnel. They've fortified the building, established overlapping fields of fire, and prepared for a standard assault." "So we don't give them a standard assault," said Sergeant Michael Chen, one of the American operators. "Exactly. Sergeant Hartley." Maya moved to the front. Every eye in the room followed her. "The distraction team Alpha and Bravo elements will approach from the south at 0200. Make noise. Draw attention. Look like a standard rescue op." She tapped the map. "Meanwhile, Charlie element goes in through here. Ottoman-era smuggling tunnel. Entrance is 400 meters east beneath an abandoned textile factory." "How many in Charlie?" asked one of the Canadian operators. "4. Me, Sergeant Hartley." She nodded at Ryan. "Sergeant Chen and Corporal Williams." "That's not enough. It's enough for what we need. We're not assaulting the compound from below. We're inserting directly into Volkov's personal quarters and eliminating him before he can organize a response." Morrison stepped back in. "The tunnel is narrow, 4 operators maximum. Any more, and we risk detection. The distraction has to be convincing enough to pull his security to the perimeter." "And if it's a trap?" someone asked. Maya's jaw tightened. "Then we spring it on our terms." So, They moved out at 2100 hours. The border crossing was silent, professional, 12 shadows slipping through darkness into a country that had been at war for over a decade. Maya felt the change the moment they crossed into Syria. The air was different here, heavier, carrying the weight of 500,000 dead and 10 million displaced. She'd killed 38 people in this country, had saved 52. The math still didn't balance, never would. They reached the staging point at 100. 1 hour until Alpha and Bravo began their distraction. 1 hour until Charlie element descended into darkness. Ryan appeared beside her. "You good?" "Stop asking me that. I'm your brother. Asking if you're good is literally my job." "I'm focused." "Is that good enough?" "It'll do." He checked his rifle, checked it again. "Maya, if something goes wrong down there, nothing's going to go wrong. If something goes wrong," he repeated harder, "you get out. You don't wait for me. You don't try to save me. You complete the mission and you get out. Ryan, promise me." "I already promised you something else. I can't promise both." "Then unpromise the first one." She turned to face him fully. In the darkness, his face was all shadows and determination. "I'm not leaving you down there. Whatever happens, we come out together. That's not negotiable." "Maya." "No, you don't get to ask me to choose between my mission and my brother. I won't do it. I can't do it." Her voice cracked, just slightly. "You're all I have left, Ryan. You and Mom. If I lose you, there's nothing. Just uniforms and rifles and an empty life pretending to be something it's not." He stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. "Together then. Together." He pulled her into a quick hug, fierce, wordless, the kind of embrace that said everything neither of them could speak aloud. Then it was time. The tunnel entrance was exactly where the Ottoman archives had indicated. Maya dropped through the factory floor into darkness. Her night vision activated, turning the world green and gray. The tunnel stretched ahead, narrow, ancient, smelling of centuries-old dust. Ryan followed. Then Chen. Then Williams. 4 operators. 1 objective. 1 chance. "Charlie element, we're in," Maya whispered into her comm. "Moving to phase line Bravo." "Copy, Charlie. Alpha and Bravo moving to position. Distraction initiates in 45 minutes. 45 minutes of crawling through darkness. 45 minutes of moving toward a man who'd spent 3 months planning for this exact moment. Maya started forward. The tunnel twisted and turned, forcing them to move single file through passages that scraped their shoulders on both sides. Maya let her rifle held low, every sense straining for threats. 20 minutes in, she raised a fist. "Stop." Behind her, the team froze. She pointed ahead, a junction. 3 passages branching in different directions. The Ottoman maps had shown only 2. "Which way?" Chen whispered. Maya studied the options. The center passage matched the map trajectory, but the left passage showed recent disturbance dust patterns different from the others. Someone had been here, recently. She pointed left. "We take this one. That's not on the map." "I know, but someone else took it recently. If Volkov knows about these tunnels, he'd have sentries in the main route. This might be a bypass. Or a trap." "Or a trap," she agreed. "But the main route is definitely a trap. At least this way we have a chance of surprise." Chen hesitated, then nodded. They moved left. The passage narrowed further. Maya had to turn sideways in places, scraping her back against ancient stone. Her breathing echoed loud in her ears. 30 minutes. Alpha and Bravo would be starting their distraction soon. The tunnel opened into a larger chamber. Maya's night vision struggled with the sudden space change. She swept the room quickly. Empty, but not abandoned. Fresh boot prints in the dust, equipment marks on the walls. Someone had used this chamber as a staging area. "Charlie, this is Alpha. Distraction initiating now. You've got 15 minutes to reach the target." Gunfire erupted in the distance, muffled by stone and earth, but unmistakable. The clock was running. "Move," Maya ordered. They moved. The tunnel ended at a metal hatch in the ceiling. Maya pressed her ear to it. Heard nothing. The chaos above had drawn attention exactly as planned. She motioned to Ryan. He moved into position, ready to cover her the moment the hatch opened. She pushed. The hatch lifted silently. Well-oiled hinges. Someone maintained this entrance. Light flooded the tunnel. Not daylight artificial. Electric. She blinked, adjusting, then pulled herself up into a storage room filled with crates and boxes. Clear. One by one, the team emerged. 4 operators in enemy territory surrounded by 12 killers who didn't know they were coming. Charlie Element is inside, Maya transmitted. Moving to objective. Copy. Charlie. Alpha and Bravo engaging heavy resistance at the perimeter. You've got maybe 10 minutes before they overwhelm us. 10 minutes. 600 seconds to find Volkov and end this. Maya opened the storage room door. The compound was chaos. Fighters ran past their position, rushing toward the perimeter where Alpha and Bravo were creating havoc. Maya pressed against the wall, letting them pass, counting. 8. 9. 10 fighters headed outside. That left Volkov and 2 others somewhere inside. She moved. The corridor stretched ahead, lit by bare bulbs that flickered with each explosion from outside. Rooms branched off on both sides. Any one of them could contain an ambush. Maya checked corners, cleared doorways. Ryan moved behind her, covering their 6. Chen and Williams took the flanks. A door opened ahead. A fighter stepped out, rifle in hand, shouting something in Russian. Maya fired twice. Center mass. He dropped. Contact, she transmitted. 1 down, continuing to objective. They stepped over the body, kept moving. The command room was at the end of the corridor. Intelligence had marked it clearly. Volkov's personal space where he planned operations and trained his wolf pack. Maya stacked on the door. Ryan opposite, Chen ready with the breaching charge. On my count, she whispered. 3, 2, 1. Execute. The charge blew. The door flew inward. Maya went through first, sweeping left. Ryan swept right. The room was empty. Clear left. Clear right. But not empty. A laptop sat open on a table, maps on the walls. Equipment scattered like someone had left in a hurry. And on the table beside the laptop, a single photograph. Maya, on the plane from Virginia, taken through a window at Reagan Airport. He'd been watching her for months, tracking her, knowing. He's not here, Ryan said. Son of a bitch knew we were coming. Check the laptop. Maybe there's contact. William's shout came from the corridor. Gunfire erupted, screaming, the sound of bodies hitting the ground. Maya spun toward the door, just as Williams stumbled back into the room, blood blooming across his chest. Ambush, he gasped. They were waiting. A bullet took him in the throat. He fell. Maya dropped to a knee, firing through the doorway. She saw shapes moving in the corridor. 3, 4, more. Charlie Element is compromised, she transmitted. Williams is down, multiple hostiles. Chen was returning fire beside her. Ryan reloaded, shouted something she couldn't hear over the gunfire. Then Chen jerked, spun, hit the wall and slid down, leaving a red smear. 2 operators gone in 30 seconds. Fall back to the tunnel, Ryan shouted. We can't, they'll have covered it by now. Then what? Maya's mind raced. The laptop, the maps, the photograph. Volkov had known, had prepared, had let them walk into a killing box designed specifically to eliminate her team. But there was another way. The roof, she said. We go up, not back. That's suicide. Staying here is suicide. Move! She grabbed his arm, pulled him toward the stairs at the back of the room. Behind them, the enemy surged forward. The stairwell was narrow, defensible. Maya took rear guard, firing at shapes that appeared below, buying Ryan time to climb. 1 target dropped, another, a third. Her magazine ran dry. She swapped without slowing, muscle memory taking over where conscious thought failed. Maya, move. She retreated up the stairs. Ryan was at the door to the roof, working the lock. It's jammed. Breach it. He stepped back, fired 3 rounds into the lock mechanism. The door flew open. They spilled onto the roof into cold night air and chaos. Gunfire still raged at the perimeter. Alpha and Bravo were holding barely. Tracer rounds cut through the darkness like angry fireflies. And standing at the edge of the roof, silhouetted against the burning perimeter, was Volkov. He was exactly as she remembered. Tall, lean, Slavic features, eyes that held nothing but calculation. His Dragunov was in his hands, aimed at her. Sergeant Hartley. His English was accented but clear. You came. I was beginning to think you wouldn't. Maya's rifle came up, both of them aiming, neither firing. Ryan moved beside her, weapon raised, but Volkov didn't even glance at him. Your brother. Ryan, yes. Volkov's lips curved. I watched him die in Al-Rashid. Watched you save him. Impressive. You're surrounded, Maya said. Your compound is compromised. Your wolf pack is being dismantled as we speak. It's over. Is it? Volkov tilted his head. Look around, Sergeant. Your team is dead. Your extraction is compromised. And I have 16 more fighters about to breach that door behind you. She didn't look. Couldn't afford to break eye contact. Then we all die here. Perhaps. Or perhaps we make a different arrangement. What arrangement? Volkov lowered his rifle slightly. Just slightly. You interest me, Maya Hartley. You've done something no one else has managed. You wounded me. Twice. You broke my record. Humiliated me in front of my students. His eyes glittered. I should hate you for that. Instead, I find myself curious. Curious about what you might become with proper training, proper guidance. He smiled. I'm offering you a choice, Sergeant. Join me. Become what you were always meant to be. The greatest sniper of your generation, unbound by regulations and politicians and men who don't understand what we are. Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. Or die here tonight with your brother and become nothing but a footnote in a classified report no one will ever read. The offer hung in the air, obscene, impossible, and for a single heartbeat, Maya understood why it was tempting. No more rules, no more restrictions, no more fighting against a system that doubted her, limited her, refused to see what she could do. Just the rifle, the shot, the perfect simplicity of being the best. Then Ryan's voice cut through the fog. Maya, don't. She blinked, looked at her brother. His eyes were steady, trusting. He wasn't afraid she'd accept. He knew her better than that. He was reminding her who she was. I know what I am, Volkov. Her voice was ice. I'm a guardian. I protect people. I don't hunt them for sport. Even if protecting them costs your life. Even then, Volkov sighed, almost sadly. A waste, but predictable. His rifle came back up. Very well, Sergeant. We do this your way. Maya moved first. She dove right as Volkov fired. The bullet passed through the space where her chest had been a millisecond before. Ryan fired at Volkov. The Russian ducked, rolled, came up shooting. Maya hit the ground. Acquired target, fired twice. Volkov was already moving. Faster than anyone his age should move. He disappeared behind a ventilation unit and suddenly the fight became a hunt. Ryan covered the door. On it. She heard him engaging the fighters trying to breach from below, heard gunfire and shouting and the sounds of close combat. Volkov was somewhere on the roof, stalking her, waiting for her to make a mistake. She wouldn't. Maya moved low, using cover like the instructors at sniper school had taught her, like her father had taught her before that. Every sense strained, every nerve alive. A shadow moved to her left. She fired. Missed. The shadow was already gone. Volkov's voice echoed from somewhere she couldn't pinpoint. You're good, Maya. Better than anyone I've faced. But good isn't enough. Not against me. She didn't respond. Wouldn't give him the sound location. Instead, she moved, changed position, became a ghost on a rooftop fighting another ghost. Gunfire erupted behind her. Ryan's voice on the comm. Maya, I'm pinned. 3 hostiles I can't hold much longer. Her heart seized. Ryan, in danger, needing her. Every instinct screamed to go back, to save him, to keep the promise she'd made to a dead father. But if she moved now, Volkov would take the shot, would end her, and then Ryan would die anyway. She had to trust her brother, had to finish this first. A boot scraped on concrete, behind her, close. Maya spun, rifle rising, finger squeezing. Volkov's hand caught the barrel, twisted. The rifle tore from her grip. He was right there, 6 inches away, close enough to see the scars on his face. His fist connected with her jaw. The world went white. She hit the ground hard, tasted blood, saw stars. Volkov stood over her, her own rifle in his hands. You should have taken my offer, Maya. She spat blood. Go to hell. Ladies first. He raised the rifle, and Maya's hand found the knife on her belt. She threw it as he fired. The bullet grazed her shoulder. The knife buried itself in his forearm. Volkov screamed. The rifle dropped. Maya exploded upward, driving her shoulder into his chest, taking him off his feet. They crashed to the concrete, rolling, fighting, struggling for dominance. He was stronger, faster, more experienced. But she was fighting for her brother, for her father, for every promise she'd ever made. Her elbow connected with his wounded arm. He screamed again. She scrambled for his rifle, got her hands on it, turned. His boot caught her in the ribs. The rifle flew away. They both rose, circled, both bleeding, both exhausted, both unwilling to surrender. Your father, Volkov said, panting. He died in Mogadishu, yes, October 1993. Maya's blood went cold. How do you know that? I know everything about you, Maya Hartley. I've spent 3 months learning every detail of your life. Volkov's smile was cruel. I know your mother lights a candle for him every October 3rd. I know your brother visits his grave on his birthday. I know you inherited his dog tags and wear them under your uniform. Shut up. I know he died saving 3 other soldiers. I know his last words were a request to tell his children he loved them. Volkov's eyes bored into hers. I know he would be ashamed of you. You don't know anything. I know you're standing here bleeding exhausted while your brother dies behind you, just like your father left his children behind. His voice dropped. History repeats, Maya. The Hartleys always sacrifice. The Hartleys always die. Something snapped inside her. Not rage, not fear. Something colder, purer, certainty. You're wrong, she said quietly. Am I? My father didn't die because he was weak. He died because he was brave. And the 3 soldiers he saved, they went on to serve for another 40 years combined. They saved hundreds of lives. His sacrifice mattered. She stepped forward, unarmed, unafraid. And I'm not going to die tonight, Volkov. Not because I'm better than you. Not because I'm stronger or faster or more skilled. I'm not going to die because my brother is behind me, because my mother is waiting at home, because I made a promise. Another step. And Hartleys keep their promises. Doubt. Volkov lunged. Maya sidestepped, caught his wounded arm, twisted. He screamed. She drove her knee into his face, felt bone crunch. He staggered, tried to recover. She didn't let him. Every technique she'd ever learned, every hour of training, every moment of pain and sacrifice and doubt, it all flowed through her in a single devastating combination. Elbow to the throat, palm strike to the nose, leg sweep that took him to the ground. And then her hands were around his throat. This is for every sniper you've killed, she whispered. For Webb, for the British, for the Canadians, for all of them. Volkov's eyes bulged. His hands clawed at her wrists. This is for my brother. She squeezed harder. And this is for me. His struggles weakened, stopped. The ghost died on a rooftop in Syria, killed by a 24-year-old woman who refused to become what he was. Maya released him, sat back, breathed. Behind her, the gunfire had stopped. Ryan, she called. Her voice was hoarse, broken, no response. Ryan. She scrambled to her feet. ran toward where she'd left him, found him on the ground, blood everywhere, 2 dead fighters beside him. Ryan, no, 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 no. His eyes opened, just barely. Hey, sis. His voice was a whisper. Did you get him? I got him. Hold on, just hold on. Maya, his hand found hers, squeezed weakly. Did you keep your promise? Tears streamed down her face. I stayed with the team. I fought beside you. I didn't go rogue. Good. He smiled, blood on his teeth. Dad would be proud. Don't you dare die on me, Ryan. Don't you dare. Not dying, just resting. His eyes closed. Wake me when extraction gets here. She held him, pressed her hands against his wounds, screamed for medical support into a radio that might not work, and waited. The Black Hawk touched down at Incirlik at 0347 hours. Maya refused to let go of Ryan's hand. Not when the medics loaded him onto the stretcher. Not when they rushed him toward the surgical unit. Not when a nurse tried to pull her away. Ma'am, you need to let us work. I'm not leaving him. Ma'am, I said, I'm not leaving him. Colonel Brennan's voice cut through the chaos. Let her stay. Maya turned. Brennan stood at the edge of the trauma bay, face-haggard uniform rumpled. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the last 12 hours. Sir, the patient needs... She's his sister. She stays. The nurse hesitated, looked at Maya, at Ryan, at the blood covering both of them. Then she nodded and went back to work. 3 hours, 180 minutes of waiting while surgeons fought to keep Ryan alive. Maya sat in the hallway outside the OR still wearing her blood-soaked tactical gear. Someone had brought her water. She hadn't touched it. Brennan sat beside her, silent, present, the way he'd been present for 30 years, keeping the promise her father had asked him to keep. Chen and Williams, Maya asked finally. Both dead, killed in the initial ambush. She closed her eyes. 2 operators, dead because she'd led them into a trap, dead because she'd underestimated Volkov. It's not your fault. I gave the order. I chose the route. You chose the route based on the best intelligence available. Volkov had months to prepare. He knew we were coming before we left Virginia. Brennan's voice was gentle, tired. This isn't on you, Maya. Then why does it feel like it is? He didn't answer. Some questions didn't have answers. At 07:12 hours, the surgical doors opened. Maya was on her feet before the surgeon could speak. He's stable. The doctor looked exhausted. 3 bullet wounds. 2 through and through, 1 lodged near his spine. We got the fragments out, but there was significant nerve damage. He's going to need extensive rehabilitation. Will he walk again? Too early to say. The next 48 hours are critical. If there's no secondary bleeding, if the nerve swelling goes down, he's got a good chance. The doctor met her eyes. Your brother is a fighter, Sergeant. He should have died on that rooftop. He didn't. That counts for something. Maya's legs gave out. Brennan caught her before she hit the floor. They let her see him at 0800. Ryan lay in a hospital bed surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed and tracked vital signs. His face was pale. Tubes ran from his arms. A ventilator helped him breathe. Maya pulled a chair beside the bed, took his hand. Hey, big brother. No response. Not yet. The sedation would wear off in a few hours. I killed him. Her voice was barely a whisper. Volkov. With my bare hands. You would have hated it. Would have told me I was being dramatic. She laughed. It came out broken. You're always telling me I'm dramatic. She squeezed his hand tighter. You're going to walk again, Ryan. I don't care what the doctors say. You're going to walk and you're going to finish your career and you're going to get old and annoying and tell your grandchildren about the time your crazy sister saved your life twice. A tear slid down her cheek. You have to, because I can't do this alone. I can't be the only Hartley. I need you. Mom needs you. She bowed her head until her forehead touched his fingers. Please, Ryan, please wake up. He woke at 14:23 hours. Maya was dozing in the chair when his fingers twitched in her hand. She snapped awake instantly. Ryan. His eyes opened, unfocused at first. Then they found her face. Maya. His voice was a rasp barely audible around the ventilator tube. I'm here. I'm right here. Did we win? She laughed through tears. We won. Volkov's dead. His network is destroyed. We won, Ryan. Good. His eyes drifted closed, then opened again with effort. You look terrible. You should see the other guy. I can't. You killed him. Yeah, I did. Something shifted in his expression. Pride, relief, understanding. Dad's daughter, he whispered. Through and through. Then he was asleep again, and Maya sat beside him, holding his hand, crying for the first time since she was 12 years old. The call to their mother was the hardest thing Maya had ever done. Harder than climbing Sahar Ridge. Harder than killing Volkov. Harder than watching her brother bleed on that rooftop. Mom? Maya. Her mother's voice was sharp, alert. The voice of a woman who'd spent 30 years expecting phone calls that brought bad news. What's wrong? Is Ryan okay? He's alive. He's going to be okay. Silence. Then a sound Maya hadn't heard since her father's funeral, her mother crying. Thank God. Thank God. Mom, there's more. I was with him, in Syria. I was part of the mission. I know. You what? I've always known Maya. From the moment you decided to become a sniper, I knew why you were doing it. You think I didn't see you training? Didn't notice the way you watched Ryan every time he deployed? Didn't understand that you were becoming your father? Her mother's voice broke. I hate it. I hate that both my children chose this life, but I understand it. And I've never been prouder of either of you. Maya's throat tightened. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for lying, for disappearing, for putting you through. Come home, Maya. Her mother's voice was fierce, certain. Bring your brother home and stop apologizing for being who you are. The flight back to Virginia took 12 hours. Ryan was stable enough to travel loaded into a medical transport with an Army surgical team monitoring his every breath. Maya sat beside him the entire way, refusing to sleep, refusing to eat, refusing to be anywhere else. Brennan found her at the 3-hour mark. You need rest, Sergeant. I'll rest when we're home. You've been awake for 42 hours. I've been awake longer during Hell Week. He sat down across from her. His eyes moved to Ryan's still form, then back to her face. I've written letters to Chen's family and William's family. Their bodies are being transported on a separate flight. Full military honors when they arrive. Maya nodded. The grief hit her fresh. 2 men dead because of a mission she'd helped plan. There's something else. Brennan's voice was careful. The after-action reports are being compiled. The official version says the mission was a success. Volkov eliminated, his network destroyed. Strategic victory for the coalition. And the unofficial version. The unofficial version says a 24-year-old Navy SEAL sniper killed the most dangerous Russian operator of his generation in hand-to-hand combat after leading her team into an ambush that cost 2 American lives. He met her eyes. You're going to be famous, Maya, whether you want to be or not. I don't want to be famous. I want to be left alone. That's not how this works. The intelligence community is already asking questions. Pentagon wants a full debrief. Media is sniffing around. Someone leaked something, we're still figuring out who, but there are rumors of a female sniper who stopped a Russian assassination network. So deny it. We're trying. But rumors have a way of becoming truth when enough people repeat them. He leaned forward. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because you need to be prepared. Your life is going to change. The anonymity you've enjoyed, it's over. Maya looked at her brother. At the machines keeping him alive. At the scars that would mark both their bodies for the rest of their lives. Let it change, she said quietly. I don't care about anonymity. I don't care about fame. I care about him, about Mom, about keeping my family safe. And after he's healed, after your mother is satisfied that both her children are alive. What then? Then I go back to work. As what? You're not going back to combat deployments, not after this. I know. She turned to face him. I want to teach, for real this time. Not as punishment, not as a cage. I want to train the next generation of snipers, show them what it means to be a guardian, give them the skills to protect people the way I've tried to protect my family. Brennan studied her for a long moment. That's a big shift from the woman who went AWOL in Syria. That woman learned something, learned that you can't do it alone, that teams matter, that teaching matters. She paused. That promises aren't just about sacrifice. They're about passing on what you know so others can keep those promises when you're gone. Something softened in Brennan's face, something that might have been hope. Your father would be proud. I know. For the first time, she believed it. He always was. They landed at Andrews Air Force Base at 1847 hours. Maya's mother was waiting on the tarmac. She looked older than Maya remembered, grayer. The 30 years since her husband's death had carved lines into her face that hadn't been there when Maya was a child. But her eyes were the same, fierce, loving. The eyes of a woman who'd buried one soldier and refused to bury two more. Maya. Mom! They collided in an embrace that said everything words couldn't. 30 years of fear, 30 years of pride, 30 years of watching her children walk the same path as their father and praying every night they'd come home. He's okay. Her mother's voice was muffled against Maya's shoulder. He's okay. He's going to walk again. The doctors are optimistic. And you... Maya pulled back, looked into her mother's eyes. I'm alive. I'm home. I'm done fighting for a while. Just for a while. We both know I can't stop completely. It's not who I am. Her mother nodded, not surprised, not disappointed, just accepting. You're your father's daughter. I've always known that. I just hoped... She stopped, swallowed. I hoped you'd find a way to serve without losing yourself, the way he lost himself. I found it, Mom. I found it in Syria, on a rooftop fighting a monster. I know who I am now, and I know what I'm supposed to do. Which is, teach, protect, keep the promise Dad made us make. Maya smiled, just from a classroom instead of a ridge. Her mother's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling too. He would be so proud of you, both of you. I know, Mom. I finally know. The hospital in Bethesda became their world for the next 3 weeks. Ryan's recovery was slow, painful. The nerve damage was more extensive than the surgeons had initially believed. There were days when he couldn't feel his legs, days when the pain was so intense he screamed. Maya was there for all of it. You don't have to stay, he told her on the 8th day. You're not responsible for me. Shut up. Maya, I said shut up. I'm not leaving. I didn't leave you in Al-Rashid. I didn't leave you in Tal Abyad. I'm not leaving you now. She adjusted his pillow with more force than necessary. You're stuck with me, Ryan. Deal with it. He stared at her for a long moment, then he laughed. It was weak, painful, but real. Dad was right about you. What did he say? That you were going to be trouble. Said it the day you were born. Ryan's eyes softened. Said you had fire in you. Said the world better watch out. The world has watched out. I've killed 41 people in combat. I think they got the message. 41. He whistled. You're catching up to me. I passed you 6 months ago. Try to keep up. The first steps came on day 17. Maya was reading a report Brennan had started sending her files on instructor positions at various training facilities when Ryan's hand grabbed her arm. Help me up. Ryan, the doctor said. I don't care what the doctor said. Help me up. She put down the report, looked at his face, saw the determination there, the stubbornness that had kept him alive through 2 decades of combat. Okay. Slowly. She helped him swing his legs over the side of the bed. His face went white with pain, but he didn't make a sound. Ready? No. Do it anyway. She pulled him upright. His legs trembled, his knees buckled. She caught him. I've got you. I know. He gritted his teeth, forced his legs to lock. One step, just one. He stepped, then another, then another. By the time the nurse came in, he was standing at the window looking out at the Maryland sunset, tears streaming down his face. I can feel them, he whispered. My legs. I can feel them again. Maya stood beside him. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Some moments were too big for words. The ceremony happened 6 weeks after they returned. Full military honors. The Pentagon's largest conference room, brass from every branch of service politicians Maya didn't recognize, and Colonel James Brennan standing at a podium with 2 medals in his hands. Sergeant First Class Maya Hartley, for extraordinary heroism in action against an armed enemy of the United States, for single-handedly engaging and defeating a hostile sniper network in the village of Tal Abyad, Syria, for actions above and beyond the call of duty that resulted in the elimination of a strategic threat and the saving of American lives. He pinned the Navy Cross to her chest. The room applauded. Maya barely heard it. Staff Sergeant Ryan Hartley, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action against an armed enemy, for holding a position against overwhelming odds while wounded, enabling the completion of a mission-critical objective, for courage under fire that exemplifies the highest traditions of military service. He pinned the silver star to Ryan's chest. Ryan stood without assistance. His legs still shook sometimes. He still needed a cane for long walks, but he stood, because Hartley's didn't sit when duty called. Sure. After the ceremony, their mother found them in a quiet corridor. I have something for you both. She reached into her purse, pulled out 2 worn dog tags on a single chain. Your father's, the ones they recovered from Mogadishu. Maya's breath caught. She'd worn copies for years, but the originals, she'd thought they were lost. They sent them to me after the funeral. I kept them in his sea bag all this time. Couldn't bring myself to look at them. Their mother's voice trembled. But I think he'd want you to have them now. Both of you. Together. She placed the tags in Maya's hand. Warm from being held close. Maya looked at Ryan, at her mother, at the tags that had hung around her father's neck the day he died. Together, she said, just like he wanted. 3 months later, Sergeant First Class Maya Hartley reported for duty at the Naval Special Warfare Sniper Training Course in Coronado, California. Her title was Lead Instructor Long-Range Marksmanship. Her responsibility was training the next generation of SEAL snipers. Her promise was the same one she'd made on Sahar Ridge to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The first day, she stood before 24 candidates, men and women, young, eager, terrified. My name is Sergeant Hartley. For the next 12 weeks, I'm going to teach you how to shoot, not how to pull a trigger, not how to hit a target, how to shoot. She walked down the line, meeting each candidate's eyes. Shooting is easy. Anyone can pull a trigger. What I'm going to teach you is harder. I'm going to teach you how to think, how to wait, how to be invisible, and most importantly, how to protect the people who are counting on you. She stopped at the end of the line, turned to face them all. Some of you will wash out. Some of you will quit. Some of you will graduate and go on to serve with distinction. And some of you will die in places no one will ever know about, doing things that will never be recorded, protecting people who will never know your names. Her voice hardened. That's the job. That's what you signed up for. And if you can't accept that, if you're here for glory or medals or stories to tell at bars, leave now. Because this course isn't about making heroes. It's about making guardians. Silence. No one moved. Good. Let's begin. She found Ryan waiting outside her quarters that evening. He'd completed his rehabilitation, had been offered a desk job at the Pentagon, had turned it down. Instructor position, he said, holding up a folder. Fort Bragg, Special Forces Sniper Course. You're teaching... Figured if my little sister could do it, how hard could it be? She punched his shoulder. He laughed. Seriously, though? His expression softened. I couldn't go back to the field, not with my legs, but I can do this. I can pass on what I know, give the next generation the skills they need. Dad would be proud. Dad would say we're both crazy. He grinned. He'd be right. They stood together in the California sunset, two siblings who'd survived what should have killed them, preparing to spend the rest of their lives teaching others how to survive too. Mom called, Ryan said after a while. She wants us home for Christmas. Both of us. Both of us. Said something about finally having her whole family together. Said she's making Dad's favorite meal. Maya's throat tightened. His pot roast. With the burnt edges, the way he liked it. She smiled. Tell her we'll be there. Already did. That night, Maya sat alone in her quarters holding her father's dog tags. 30 years since he'd died. 12 years since she'd made a promise at his grave. 1 year since she'd kept that promise on a ridge in Syria. She'd killed 41 enemy combatants. She'd saved over 100 American lives. She'd fought a legend and won. She'd become something she never expected: a symbol, an instructor, a guardian in the truest sense of the word. But more than any of that, she'd kept her family together, had brought Ryan home, had given her mother both her children alive and whole. That was the real victory. Not the medals, not the recognition, just the simple, impossible miracle of coming home. She pressed the dog tags to her lips. I kept my promise, Dad. Both of us did. We watched each other's backs. We came home. Somewhere she liked to think her father heard. Somewhere she liked to think he was proud. The war didn't end with Volkov's death. Wars never really ended. They just paused, shifted, found new faces and new battlefields. But for Maya Hartley, the war had changed. She wasn't a weapon anymore. She was a teacher, a guardian of guardians. A woman who would spend the rest of her life training others to do what she had done, protect the ones they loved, no matter the cost. The bullet Volkov had sent her sat on her desk in Coronado. A reminder, not of fear, not of danger, but of what she'd overcome. And every morning when she woke to train the next generation of snipers, she looked at that bullet and remembered the truth she'd learned on Sahar Ridge. Love was the most dangerous weapon. Guardians didn't count the cost, and some promises, the ones that mattered most, were worth keeping at any price. 20 years later, Master Chief Maya Hartley would retire from the United States Navy with more decorations than she could count and more students than she could remember. Ryan would walk her across the parade ground, no cane, no limp. The nerve damage, a distant memory healed by time and stubbornness. Their mother would be there, 83 years old, still fierce, still proud. And when the ceremony ended, when the flags were folded and the speeches were finished, Maya would visit Arlington one last time. She would kneel at her father's grave. She would place her hand on the cold marble, and she would say the words she'd been waiting 30 years to say. Mission complete, Dad. We all came home. The wind would rustle through the trees, and somewhere she would swear she heard him answer, I know, sweetheart. I always knew you would. Because that's what Hartleys did. They kept their promises. They protected their own, and they never, not ever, left anyone behind.